All right, today we are going to be meeting up with Anthony Lee, who is a educator, historian, and also someone who's currently working on a book about the history of the Dine people, which is myself and a lot of our viewers and a lot of viewers who are non-Dine. But what I find interesting is the fact that the deep lore that he's going to bring to us in this episode. So without further delays, we're going to meet him right now. Hey, Vinny.
Oh, yate start. Oh,
Right.
my colonial name is Anthony Lee. Anthony Lee. Of course, there's a couple of them here in Shiprock, and then there's one over here. Look at you guy. I always tease that one about over. Look at you guy. I know him too, so I always say that. Hey, Yohuya, he's the good one. But he knows me, so he's a medicine man. So. That's another Anthony Lee over there. He's a good guy, so teaches over at Dine College. Anyway, my name is Anthony Lee. Like I said, I am originally out of a place called Twohale, where the water comes out. In the Balagana, they call it Toadlina. Toadlina. I know the Yoshila, so. But my clans, ya don't know, ya na shashe. Dane will get an inch. Jose Tachini, Bashin Kiani, Shinale, that Edo, Hanaga, and Ea, that's a che. Do a change Snido, a nullin, and I live here in Shiprock. Right now, I am a farmer. I used to be a farmer and getting too dang old for it, but I do what I can at my age. And although I've ranched, I basically covered a lot of the stuff that I'm supposed to cover, I guess, at my age, so I'm good. Like I said, I work, mostly I volunteer here in Shiprock as an educator, in tradition and cultural educator, and also I'm looked upon as a historian for Dine people. I've done 15 years since 2010 all the way up to present. Been doing a research on Dine, who we are and what we are, where we come from, what we are. How do we get here, and what made us who we are. That was my research. And of course, I wasn't the only one doing this. My sister also, Dr. Begay Lula, she kind of inspired me to do a lot of this stuff here too. So, and then also my other sisters, Peggy Francis and my nephew Nate Francis also, which we kind of helped each other along the way in gathering a lot of this information. So it's pretty much like a family thing that we did as far as gathering a lot of this information that I'm going to share with everybody today. So. Today. Going back 15 years I've been at it. So it started back in about 2010 and around about that time. I had a nephew that asked me a question way back. What is that word? What does that mean? And at the time, it really didn't dawn on me. It really didn't, and I just heard it a lot, and I used it a lot. I threw it around a lot, like everybody else is doing, Oh, that type of thing. But, but not like that, but just like everybody's doing, I used to do that a lot. So, but I thought, I'm going to find out, what is it? What is it really? The snow out of Shahad, where you get. Then I thought, in order to find out, maybe I need to start with myself. Who am I? Where did I come from? So come to find out, where do we come out? They said that we actually originated out of Nikisani, Bitsanet, also. And of course, it led me all the way back to First Mesa up in by Kings Canyon. So there's First Mesa, Tiwa people. Ade come to find out, there were some groups that were migrating back this way, back home. After the group from over here went over there, this is like over thousands of years ago. I wasn't there. But and then they were headed back, some ladies. It just so happens that my great grandmas, I guess, from where I come from, they landed right here on the side of on Tigre Hills and Taulina. And just so happens there were some group of people there. And there's still a lot of those ruins that are there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of those, and that's where they settled. And that's where our group started. Mm-hmm. So that whole area, what is now known as Turtle Mesa, the Turtle Rock, that whole school area, Taulina, was pretty much dominant us, the whole family group. The whole family. Yeah, right in that general area, all the way up to Tigre Hill, the chapter house there. So, and we've been there for I don't know how many years, years. Another group, they came over by what is now Tohatchi. Those Becentis, Bitsis, that's another group, from that same group again. They were actually headed back to where they came from, which was Santa Clara, that way, back to Taos. And then they were headed back. A lot of them, they just scattered and pretty much ended up in a lot of these places. There's some Shasha people over here in Zisnau, Dithley, around Carson, all the way up into Council. So that's how they scattered. And actually they were tracking back. Some of them made it back, from what I understand, back to Santa Clara. So just a little brief history on what I found out, and that's what started my research. 2 years ago, I went back over to First Mesa again. I actually watched their dancing, and one of the things that I found, that I witnessed, was a lot of the dancers there, the Tewa people, were dancing in the Navajo, what we call Navajo traditional, attire. But which is not normal for them. But they were dancing, and for those that had gone back, I don't know, so it kind of hit home for me. See, knowing where I came from, see, and that way, in that sense. So, but after that, that's what started my research. Well, and a lot of the medicine people from back then had gone and given a lot of those information. But of course, there's a lot of these people are coming back and saying, why aren't those information being shared? And they're just locked up in museums, they're locked up in places where we can only get glimpses of it, and that's it, how are we supposed to survive? But one of the things my grandpa told me was that, he said, don't ever do that. If somebody is telling you something, listen. It's one thing that us Navajos don't know how to do. He says, we can hear it, but we don't listen. He says,
retain it.
Yes, exactly. So he says, so I asked my grandpa, I said, okay, Grandpa, so tell me, explain to another. He says, oh, of course, we sit like that, and he goes, when we hear it, it goes in here, and it goes out this way. There's nothing in the middle to catch it. Or it goes in here and then it comes out this way. That's all So anyway, that's what he meant. But he says, but if you listen, he says, it goes in here and it catches right here at the brain level. He says it catches it and it bounces around like that, trying to figure out which way, and it gets stuck in there. You learn from it. That's listening, Shisnila. Don't let it come out. Don't let it go out. Listen, let it grow with you. That's how it goes, Neil. And then, about a couple years ago, I went up to, what's that place called? Chaco Canyon, with the late Leonard, what's his name? He's passed on, my late brother, Mr. Emerson, over here from Haltback, Dr. Emerson, yeah. He said the same thing. He exactly said the same thing my grandpa told me, the late John D. And he said he said the same thing. And but
Did you say John D?
yeah, John D's cheating. John Dash cheating.
Oh,
That's cheating.
That's
Yeah.
cheating. Okay,
Oh.
so my late Che, great Che was John Dodge. So I
Okay.
was wondering, I was like, wait, I think we're on the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, we are
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah, yeah.
I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking. Yeah, Beeline. Hey, he used to tease me like when we were kids. Yeah, he walked by the irrigation canal, go like that to the shovel, splash water on us. We'd be playing over there in the fields, But I know who you're talking about. So exactly.
The one from Farm Lane?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. He used to walk right there where my parents' farm were. He used to turn the water on. He used to walk back down there. Yeah. So.
My son is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, we relate. I'm right on there. So.
Oh.
Yeah, it's meant to happen. It's meant to happen, nephew. See. But anyway, one of the very interesting things, a lot of the stuff Dr. Emerson told me, man, is I used to hang around a lot of these guys. They're gone. But, I treasure what they gave me. One of the most interesting things he says was that one of the teaching that I hang on to dearly. A lot of times people don't kind of cringe when I tell them about it. And I tell them, says, it makes a lot of sense. And he says, when he was telling me about this, when we were headed out to Chaco, I said, we had some kids, we had some youngsters that came out there. They were fussing over this thing with the oil companies, fracking and stuff like that. And he got invited out there, and he eventually got a hold of me. He says, come on out there and go with me. I want to get your input. So we headed out there, and we were talking about it. We were talking about balance and harmony. Balance and harmony. And we were headed up towards Chaco Canyon. We're talking about it, and balance and harmony. I kind of traced it back then. So, balance and harmony. And we go out of whack when we kind of lose one side or the other. And he says, you know what, that's very important. No, it is, especially for us, Nila, as Native people, as Navajo. Anyway, and we're driving down there, and he says, Navajo. I don't know. He says, no. I said, Salyaja, I'm going to tell you something, Nila. Education is good, Nila. It's good. But you got to remember, Nila, there has to be a balance. It has to be a balance. You got to hang on to how God created you. You got to hang on to it. And somewhere in there, we've lost it, Nila. We let go of that. And so what had happened was that it came off balance. And the funny thing is that a lot of these, it's instilled in our brains way back when we came back from Fort Sumner. Somebody told us we were stupid, and we believed it. No. And he said, so somebody told us that. We believe, and I think it started with that Pratt guy up in Carlisle, and I think it's where it started. No. But so far over here, when we Navajos were turned loose, and he said, somebody did tell us that. And we believed it, Nila. And the thing about it is, from that, we started to think that being like these non-Navajos, you're going to make yourself better. Something made us think that way, no? And we're talking about it. Out of it became to be. That thought, it just rolled. It kept rolling. It kept rolling. At this far in time, I come to realize, you overeducate a Navajo. You know what, my little brother, Sasnita? You overeducate a Navajo, they become very stupid. Yeah. And then I had to think about it. Think about it, Sasnita. Look at Window Rock, Nila.
Let's start.
I got it cracked up on it. Okay, yes, brothers. Think about it, Nila. I ate it, Nila. They no longer use the senses God gave them. Dide hot on Hisniliana at Dantisa Anarevik Hajon no Besniliaha. What was in that phase with Anarevik, it's no longer we no longer use it. Which is na Kuda Nsa case Lanila Adonahata Inna Sehasin. Di what ego Besniliaha. Doyan Sikista. Hatnana to Ba Atten Nila Atten. So added you go. Yat Jenny Han. What did they say? Can I help you? Say, what are you? Something's not right. And our ancestors and all these guys already had it down pat to begin with. What ain't that, and but in the same time, it's so off balance. And that's what Dr. Emerson was telling me, on the way out there. That's what he was talking about. It's hard, no? We're having to deal with two worlds. Seems like three worlds. Yeah. So it's like trying to juggle it, and in the same process, trying not to slap your face with it, No. And that's what they're basically what we're trying to do with a lot of these things. So, but that's what I do. So help a lot of the younger ones go back and re-understand a lot of the traditional and cultural aspect as to what was there. The language is very. It's not only us. We're not the only ones like that. Most tribes are dealing with it.
You want
And
to drive real quick?
yeah.
You mentioned earlier that there was I forgot about that.
Yeah, bronc riding. I used to be a bronc rider when I was a little boy.
Well, I saw your buckle.
Oh, these are my kids. I was like, they win them. I just take it away from them. So.
Oh.
I'm too old for that stuff. So.
Did you ever used to ride?
Yeah.
How long ago?
I was younger. I was prettier than a long time ago. Mostly back when rodeo was popular. I mean, way back. I mean, it was like 80s.
Mid 80s, early 80s.
Late 70s into the 80s.
Yep.
So, and got brothers that rode, cousins. One of my older brothers was one of the world champion bronc rider. Like, I don't know, he's as old as he is, he's still going at it, man. Believe it, and he's starting to feel the pain of it. So,
oh really?
Yeah, he's a 3-time world champion bronc rider. So, but he's my older brother. So.
He's your older brother?
He's my older brother. Yeah, he's older than me. So
you're saying he's probably what, 22?
If
he's your older brother?
Yeah, he's like yeah. So I'm 19, and so he's about.
I know, that's what it says 22.
See, now I want to wear my hat. A lot of times I teach people when I go into a Western store. I was watching Brokeback Mountain last night, and I want to be a cowboy. But anyway, oh man, I joke around a lot with that. But a lot of those cowboys that I knew way back, it was fun being a cowboy back then. I mean, back I'd say around about 1983, down over in Cheyenne, a guy named Lane Frost, was the guy that kind of turned tables on everything after he got killed by a bull.
That's why they made that movie 8 Seconds.
Yeah, and so the associations all the way across the board decided that we can't afford this no more. That we got to get some safety vests on these guys. We got to put helmets on them. So when my kids do it, my younger boys, they do it. So I just kind of tease them. But back in our days, I was like, we didn't have those things. You get on those things, and if you were going to die from it, you were going to die from it. And some people did,
Yeah, and that's the cowboy way.
Oh, yeah. So a couple of times I had to stand on I got thrown off my head, So I think that causes, that's what makes up a lot of my weirdness. But, oh, yeah. I was like,
really?
Yeah. It's like, it made me weird, So catches up, and then a couple of years ago here, we had the COVID come in, kind of add on, that was the spicing on the weirdness.
Yeah. Well, you seem very normal to me. So.
Oh man, it's like, yeah, you get older. I mean, it's like it does that. It's like 40, I was okay, and then 50 come along, then all of a sudden, when I passed 55, I noticed that light started to go off on its own, you know.
That sounds like a paranormal
Oh, yeah.
case.
I was like, "Ooh-wee."
Speaking of paranormal, with lights going off, did you ever watch the Unsolved Mysteries with the Paranormal Rangers, the Navajo Rangers?
I've heard of it. I never seen it, but
Came out last year.
I've seen some paranormal. To tell you the truth, shit, Doc. One time we were up here on the side of where that plant is. One there, I didn't know. Yeah, well, I was up there with my niece, okay, and her husband. We're up there. We got some wood. We're coming back down, and we're in the dark. We stopped in this one area, and she went off and did her thing. She was going back into the car, and I said, "Hey, you know, my niece, you know, Ryan, let me take your powder." And I was like, you know. Just when she was walking in by the truck, they're walking back, and I snapped a photo. I never noticed it. Got home, and so it was about from here to that truck right there, that far back. So I wanted to crop it. I went and cropped it. So when I brought it in, I noticed there was like this little piece in the background. What the heck is that, you know? Uh-huh. So I cropped out that little area again, then I brightened it up real bad. You know, god dang, man, it's like I never taken a picture of it. I think it's a skinwalker. But it's there. It's there. It's there. Yeah. So that's the you know, it's like so when people talk about stuff like Bigfoot, they say it's alive, you know, it's like, hey, I believe it, you know, I'm sure it's around, you know. And then these guys were up here afterwards, and they're looking for these portals, whatever that is, you know. I told them about that little story, and I showed them that picture. They got all excited, man. It was like their tails were wagging like that, and said, then we went to go look at it, you know, so where's it at? You know, I showed them where it is, you know. But the story goes that a lot of those things were happening back there, way back when my dad and those guys were around. I guess it's been years, and I'm sure your grandpa knew about all those stuff back then too. In that little Horseshoe Mesa area, all way in that back area there. And,
that's north of Shiprock.
Yeah, that whole area back in there. So and very, 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 very funky place to be at, especially at night, from what I found out. So I don't wander back in there again anytime after sundown, man. I don't go back there no more.
I think the last time I went there was my dad, and we only did target shooting. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no. Well, those areas, those canyons, remind me of my grandma and her. No, actually, it was my. Now I'm getting my stories mixed up. It was my Che who, when he was little, they used to go through there in a wagon, and they would have rocks thrown at them by little men on top of the mesas.
Yeah.
And then at my grandparents' farm, up to this day, there is a crop circle from one of our relatives who was almost kidnapped by little men back in it was early 80s, I think. Mm-hmm. And that crop circle is still there up to this day, too. I literally looked at it probably last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know actually this area has a lot of sightings too. Oh, fell before.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. Yeah, so I've seen that one show they did about this area right up here on top where we're headed here. So over here by this side of Fruitland not Trading Post, Chapter House.
Chapter House. Oh, that's one of those Ghost Adventures or something.
Yeah. It's like a whole bunch of. To me, it looked like a bunch of kids playing. You know,
Yeah.
It's like that's what we used to do when we were kids. You know.
Yeah.
Me and my old neighbor used to dare each other to go down that tunnel over there at Paradise into that pipe, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was just pretty much a playground.
Yeah.
Like a lot of parts of the res, it's just it's a playground.
Yeah.
Of course, teenagers are running around.
Yeah. Yeah. One
Yeah.
time I had a guy. This one guy is he's a good friend of mine, you know. So, but he's not from here. He's down from Utah. You know, he's a white guy. Mm-hmm. So he's he goes, there are people, you know, they talk about that. You guys have this superstition about coyote. Now, is there a certain meaning to it? So the only time that ever happens to me, I go, only ever time I had a coyote present in front of me is when I'm with a white guy. And he just looked at me like that. He says, really? I said, yeah. What? There's going to be one that crosses our road here a while. And we're riding down the road. We go down the road, and then we saw this real big old snake going across. Oh, whoa. We stopped. I told you, but that's a snake. Even worse, I go. So what is it telling you? Oh, he's cursing us.
Yeah, I don't know, but you don't want to know. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Just have him drive in fear.
Yeah. Say you belly crawling so and so. So he just sort of laughed it off.
So what? Okay, now I've heard So this is what's fascinating about me interviewing is I'm hearing different versions of when a Ma'i crosses your path. What's your belief in it?
Mine has to get somewhere like everybody else, so let him go.
So do you wait for somebody to cross? Or you pray over
No. One of the things I learned what not to do is learn not to witch myself. I guess more like a better word, but when you think of evil things, most likely nobody does it to you but yourself. If you do something like that, so if you see a coyote cross in front of you, then think positive things. Oh man, I want to be young again. Hey.
You still are. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You'll be 16 now?
Oh man, it's like, but then again, that's where all my problems have started. Actually, I'm cursing myself all over again. But anyway, yeah. So a lot of times, that's what my Shonala, John Dish used to tell me. Don't always think about. I don't know what they're done. In any case, think something good. You might find a $10 bill rolling across the road over there up ahead or something. Pick up the $10, go have lunch, Mm-hmm. That's good, he goes. Yeah. So I miss a lot of their teachings, ever since they're gone. And so, yeah, I had an uncle here. I used to sit down with, I sat with him last fall. I bring some of these guys together sometimes, and I like to talk to them, to have them reminisce about old times, and a lot of the old timers are leaving, especially there in Shiprock. Oh. And we just had one go again here the other day. He was a veteran, and I used to like listening to a lot of his story, a lot of his stuff that he believed in. Mm-hmm. And so, that's how we shared a lot of these information. Especially in the wintertime, and they invite me and tell me, it's like, hey, why don't you give us a story, or maybe, what do you know,
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about this, tell us about that, and then, or one would come in and say, well, I'll give you the story, and we share like that. A lot of that stuff we do, and last time we sat with them in there, over at the healing circle, we sat in there with him. One of the things he brought up was that, this is good, he said. You guys are sitting here talking about all these things, He said, there's one thing missing, though. And I looked around and said, what is that, Where are all the young ones? We need to bring them in. We need to let them, we need to have them hear us, even though we're boring, he says. Mountains behind it.
Uh-huh. Is that the Six Mountain?
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, this one definitely looks more Pueblo. They have more of the curves. Then the one with the head in the circle, you know that one?